Welcome to episode 21. In honor of episode 21.
We're drinking.
What are we drinking tonight?
Colonel E.H. Taylor, small batch.
Nice.
Yeah.
We've got Amy Routt joining us from the West.
Hey, I like Amy's content. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And
that sweet Utah backpacking.
I know, we're pretty jealous. We're going to get into that. We're going to have some E.H. Taylor Special Reserve?
Small batch.
Small batch?
Yep.
And let's get going. All right, we're back. Cut in. After much technical difficulties, we've got, not live, we got Amy Routt via Skype joining us on the podcast today.
Famous YouTuber.
Utah
area.
I know. We're always so jealous when we talk to the people that live out there. I mean, coming from where we live. Thank you so much for talking to us. This is fun for us to do, and we take every opportunity we can get to like talk to people who live out in real backpacking country.
Yeah.
Because we live in Ohio.
Have you always been in Utah?
No, I have been here for 3 years now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Southern California, but I moved away after college and moved around like every 6 months for work. And then I landed in Utah for a job and decided that this was the place for me. So
awesome.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you're from Southern California. I didn't know that.
So, you, without spilling too many details about yourself, but what field of work are you in? What general type of thing do you do?
Field biology.
Oh, you're a scientist.
Yes.
Nice. I was a scientist in my former life.
A little bit like recreation.
Okay. Did you go to school for that?
I did. Yeah, I got my degree in environmental science.
Okay. So what sort of I know we asked you not to spill any details, but like what kind of like field biology do you do?
I've done everything from like weed management, so eradicating invasive species, up to collecting native seeds.
Oh, cool.
Pygmy rabbit surveys, sage grouse sound monitoring, like kind of like a broad range of things.
I wanted to make a weed joke when you said I didn't know. I was like, oh, you mean like invasive weeds?
That is invasive.
No, that's very cool. You might be. Well, I guess Devin works in the outdoor industry, but he works inside of a rock climbing place all day. You like go out in the field. Job.
Yes, except I haven't done that the past year. I mean, I wouldn't be doing that now anyway because it is winter, and that's actually one of the reasons why I haven't done it in the last year, because growing up in Southern California, I was like, oh, I want to work outdoors and that's going to be my career. And I didn't realize that it snows in other places and working outdoors is very seasonal. So I'm trying to navigate that right now and figure things out. Yeah.
So you went after this career because you wanted to be outdoors?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Andy and I spend our lives in cubicles all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have the opposite of that job.
I have a stand-up desk.
That's true. We have stand-up desks now. That is true.
I mean, it's not always the worst way to go because at least, you could be a weekend warrior. So like that works out.
We are.
That's what we do. So do you find that you do like when it's not the off season, do you backpack as like part of your job? Like do you go out on like multi-day things for work?
Yes. So I have in the past. I did. One of my first jobs was actually in Montana, and so that was more in recreation. I did a lot of trail work, and oftentimes, so I actually lived in the wilderness, but from there, we would take off and we'd have mules pack stuff in. Kind of backpacking, but luxurious backpacking. And then I got a job in Northern California. I think it was the year after that, as basically a wilderness ranger. But there wasn't really anyone to ranger out there. So basically I was doing a lot of trail work, but they would send me out for, up to like 5 days at a time.
Oh, cool.
Something like that.
That is so awesome.
Man, that's cool. Yeah. That's a weird, like, I can't even imagine doing that as your occupation.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be amazing.
Yeah.
So how, I guess we kind of answered it, but we always ask everybody.
It sounds like you've had
how did you get into backpacking? But it sounds like you kind of got into it. Did you get into it through your job, or were you into this stuff? Were you into backpacking before you started working?
So I did start backpacking before I started working. But so that was right when I got into college. It was something I'd never done, but for some reason there was something in me that was like, I think I really want to do this. So I did go on trips. However, I don't feel like I fully was immersed until, I started working, and then I got like my butt kicked, and I realized what it was like really like to do, longer miles and be out there. And, but yeah, so I've been backpacking for about 10 years now, but I guess, most of my experience, I think, is like the last 5 years.
That's most of the people we talk to have not been backpacking that long, especially the YouTubers.
Yeah.
So what made that? Yeah. What made you make the jump into the YouTube realm?
That's a hard one to answer, I guess. So I know there was a point where I got my family into hiking, and I made some like really crappy GoPro videos of it just for fun.
That's how we started.
And
that's how everybody starts.
Yeah. And I remember really liking it. And I think those are private now, but at one point they were public. I didn't think anybody was watching those or anything. But years later, I did a lot of solo backpacking because I was moving around so much, and most of my friends were either doing the same thing or they just weren't into backpacking. So to pass the time, I found myself wanting to record myself out there to kind of share the experience with family and friends. But most of the time I would just like delete. I would get home and then I would delete all of it, or I wouldn't follow through or whatever. So I guess just, a little over a year ago, I decided I'm actually going to do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I started posting, I guess.
Has it been everything you thought it would be?
It's
kind of a weird thing to do, right? I mean, like we do it, like making YouTube videos is not like, most people don't do that.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know. You put yourself out there.
You're right. Most of the world's population does not make YouTube videos. Good call.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, it is super weird. I don't know. I definitely still struggle being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I am an introverted person, and I knew that was going to be a struggle. I've gotten a lot better, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still struggling with that a little bit, kind of being in front of the camera. I like making trip videos a lot more, and most of the time I don't have to be in front of the camera as much.
Yeah.
So so we always talk about there's like kind of two genres of backpacking channels on YouTube right now. There's like mainly trip videos, and then there's like mainly gear with the occasional trip video. And so I've always had a ton of respect, and I personally enjoy channels that focus more on trip videos because I just love watching trips. But so much respect for you for that, because
you do a lot of trip videos.
Yeah. But people like that clickbaity gear stuff.
Another thing I wanted to bring up with you, and you kind of just brought it up, was I know that you're a fan of solo backpacking.
Yes.
Like over going with people?
Kind of.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Over groups, I think, but I don't have a lot of experience backpacking in groups. And it's funny because the Canyonlands trip that I just went on with the group of guys was almost one of my very first group backpacking experiences.
Really?
And what did you? What are your thoughts about like backpacking with a group of like wacky guys?
You
like
can
that?
talk shit about Bryce on the podcast.
Yes.
No, it was super fun. I feel like I got lucky with the group of guys. I do have one bad experience where I met people on a backpacking trip, and it was my first time meeting them in person. It was bad. But this one turned out really well. And yeah, it is a completely different experience because it's more about I don't know if I want to say the camp life, but it's about,
it's
a lot more social,
Yeah.
where I'm used to just kind of like, I mean, sometimes I'm really bad about just like putting my head down and just getting in the zone and going. So I don't know, it was just very different. So I guess I would like either one for different reasons.
Kevin and I are big fans of like the actual like camp
experience.
And so
yeah,
when we like the thought of getting to camp, sitting down, hanging out around a campfire. So did you find like that was something you really enjoyed, like that hangout social aspect of it?
Yeah, it was nice. And I mean, like I said, having a good group really helped. And so I do not own a camp chair or like a backpacking chair or anything like that. And I had to borrow one from Devin because I'm like, well, usually I get to camp, I might sit on the ground or like.
How good was having a chair?
But I kind of needed the chair. It was kind of a necessity.
Exactly.
You're talking to like the biggest backpacking chair fanboys that exist.
Yeah. But it was enjoyable. I did like it. Again, I think that it's just completely different moods, different.
Yeah.
Yeah, just different things.
That's so I've only gone out solo once, and that was in Tahoe, and that was the one thing I noticed. Yeah, the one thing I noticed was, man, I have a lot of time. You have so much time.
True, yeah.
You take a lot of shots though.
Making videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to make videos because you're just hanging out by yourself and trying to figure out, what to do. Yeah.
It's creepy though. It's definitely a little creepy, especially as you're going solo in like bear areas and like.
Well, yes, but not grizzly country.
Mm-hmm.
I do not go alone in grizzly country, and I do pick and choose where I go alone. I mean, there are a lot of options, so it's not like I'm limited, but
I remember thinking when I was out there alone, I was thinking, I feel like if I was a woman, I'd be more terrified.
Really?
I don't know.
Do you so we'll cut right into that. I mean, are there some stereotypes we need to break down here? Like, is that a thing? Like, God, I hate taking it here, but like, do you feel more vulnerable as a solo female backpacker?
So for backpacking as a solo female, no. Because in general, as like a smaller person, smaller female, I kind of, I feel vulnerable all the time almost.
Oh, okay. I see.
Not any different for backpacking. I guess
That's
I'm not usually worried about people out there mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly worried about, I guess, animals or bad weather or, a tree falling on my tent in the middle of the night and I die. Things doesn't matter.
That escalated fast.
Who you Yeah.
Just keep backpacking in the canyon.
No, it's interesting you say that because like where we so in the Midwest, there's a lot of people.
Our biggest fear is
people. Like without a doubt. Because we've had some run-ins with some sketchy people.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
And that gets into like granted, we've backpacked in Colorado and I've backpacked in the Tahoe area, and the kinds of people, I'm going to say this in a PC way, the kind of people that are out in the outdoors recreating in the West are much different than the kind of people that are recreating in the Midwest.
Yeah, well, I think out west you've got to like it more. So like you're everybody's probably a little bit more stereotypical, like into that. Where around us it's easy.
Yeah, so, yeah. There's not a lot of barriers to go do it. So you have tons more people, and there's a lot less areas to backpack. Like in Ohio, I mean, there's like a handful of places to backpack, and it's a state of 10 million people. So all of the people that are into outdoors are going to the same places. You just have a lot more people. So we've had some like really sketchy run-ins with people.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, and maybe I don't want to like dig up bad memories here, but you mentioned you had a bad experience like originally with a group of people. Like, could you talk a little bit more about like what that bad experience or maybe it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't what you thought. Oh, we go deep here.
Let's dig up those terrible memories.
No, it was a pretty bad experience. I'm trying to think of like how I could say it without. I don't know if this person would watch this. I mean, probably not.
Most people.
So maybe So maybe
Most
I'll
people
just say
don't
this.
watch it.
Wait, was it a creeper?
Was it a
person?
creepy person?
No, so it was 2 females.
Okay.
Okay.
They were actually gonna do Havasupai.
A what?
And if you know about Havasupai,
what's a supai?
I don't.
It's incredible. You have to look at photos. It's incredible. It costs a lot of money, and permits are really hard to get. So
I have no.
Wait,
I have no idea what this is.
How do you spell this? What is it?
Pull this up. How do you spell it?
Havasupai, Havasupai. Yeah, you have to look at photos.
I thought it was like have a supai, like some sort of soup.
Okay, it's
have
like
a
an
soup
area.
Oh,
I thought it was like a tradition.
I thought this was like some sort of ceremony or something.
Okay, I got
this is an area.
No, it's beautiful.
This is a geological area.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
See, we live in Ohio.
Totally different. We're from like totally different worlds. Yes.
This area is beautiful. All right, sorry. Continue.
It's incredible. No. So the permits are really hard to get, and it costs a lot of money. I mean, I don't remember what it was, somewhere between $200, $300.
Oh, wow.
And somebody.
Really?
Yes.
Is it because it's on like
it's an Indian reservation?
It's on a reservation, right? And they want it.
Okay.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's on a reservation, so they can charge
right
probably whatever they want. But yeah, somebody bailed off of their permit, and it was somebody I knew from Instagram actually, and she said, "Hey, I think that you might be a really great person to, fill that spot."
Yeah.
And so I was down, and I, paid the money. But I don't know. There were a lot of things wrong.
So it was you and a couple other people? It was
what?
you. It was you. So a group of people was going to do this.
3 people. You paid a lot of money.
And somebody bailed out, and you met them.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And you had never met these people in face to face before this?
A blind backpacking date.
Well, so one of them I had met kind of on accident. I was in the Wind River Range, and they happened to camp right next to me, and I recognized them because of their dog, because of Instagram. Okay. But we had like a 5-minute conversation, and then that was it. So I had met kind of previously, but didn't really know them. But yeah, it was just, they were really, really slow hikers, and I don't have a problem with taking your time. But it ended up being so bad that I don't know.
No. We totally understand
this.
We
actually know what you're saying, and you feel bad because it's you want to be nice, and you want everybody to hike together, and you don't want to be that person that's going against the thing of hike your own hike and do all that stuff.
Exactly.
But we totally understand that as well. We've
had those.
I'm gonna dog Old Red on this. We have a friend.
We just left him.
He did the Colorado Trail with us, and it was a little rough for him. And we basically told him where we would be camping. It's just I can't take that many breaks. I can't.
Right.
And it's just I need to get into a rhythm, and but I didn't I don't want to ruin the experience for him by forcing him to be at our pace or.
Right. Yeah.
So,
everyone has their own
how
pace.
How slow are they?
Yeah. But I mean, a part of it too is attitude. It's it's different if it's
were they complainers?
You're
were they complainers?
Slow. But there was a lot of complaining and negativity and a lot of stress. I mean, if they were really nice and they're okay, yeah, we're just,
Yeah. Bunch of haters.
But it was actually really stressful, and they were struggling.
Yeah.
And the whole trip was like that. So we didn't get to see very much. There was also some other issues. I don't know. There were a lot of things wrong, but it was difficult just because I think of attitude. It wasn't necessarily we're going to make the best out of the situation. It was kind of just rough to deal with.
And especially when you're paying $200 to $300 to go there. I can see that. And maybe I'm probably gonna stereotype this situation. We do that a lot here.
With it.
But no, hold on. So it sounds like the mileage and the pace and the terrain might have been an issue, like physically. And then when that becomes a struggle, then it becomes stressful.
Yeah.
People get dehydrated, aren't eating enough, and then it just becomes no fun. And so like we've definitely seen that as well.
And that's something that always shocks me about people that backpack is like now this is Ohio, this is the Midwest. I think it's different where you live. The vast majority of people that hike and backpack in the Midwest are horribly out of shape.
And there's nothing
wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, props to them.
Right.
That's good. I love seeing it, but you got to know what you're signing up for.
Yeah, and then if you're choosing to go with a group of people that maybe you don't know very well or haven't backpacked with, like you should just be sure, like, is this the right type of people that will like match up to what I expect in the wilderness. That's the best way I can say this in a PC way.
You're being very PC about it.
I know, I'm very good.
Yeah.
No, that was actually one thing I noticed when we did the Colorado Trail. We were out there for 7 days. We didn't see a fat person out there.
I was there.
No, but like everybody looked in shape.
Well, it's demanding, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
We go to more demanding places in Ohio, and we got people in blue jeans out there doing 10 miles a day.
But we got to be careful here. Like, I don't like dogging people like for getting in the outdoors.
No. It's good. It's good. But just know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and anybody who is an advocate of the outdoors, like, I'm on your team.
But so my thing is, though, I want you to enjoy it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you are not going to enjoy it
for sure
if you are not physically prepared for it. And you're going to hate it, and you're probably never going to do it again.
Yeah, and that's rough. But maybe it takes a few of those for you to kind of like move past that.
Man, we've seen some bad ones out there.
Yeah. I remember some rough ones and getting to camp and being like, this is the worst thing I've ever. I hate this so much.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So I wanted to bring this up too. Speaking of permits, I saw that you got your JMT permit.
Yeah, congrats. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
You're doing the whole thing?
Yes, plus
nice.
extra.
Oh.
Plus extra.
What's the plus extra?
Yes. So for the the permit, there's no permit for the JMT. The permits are for the trailheads.
Okay.
And so the ones that have the easiest access to the start and end, depending on which way you do it, they are on a lottery system. And I think I saw something that said you have like a 3% chance of getting one. And so what I decided to do was to tack on an extra 30 or so miles and start from a different trailhead where the permit is guaranteed as long as you get on the website and sign up and pay your money. So I did that and guaranteed permit. So, it should be approximately 245 miles total.
That's awesome.
Is that the longest you've ever backpacked?
Yes. Yeah.
That's crazy.
How many days are you trying to do it in?
So for the full 245 miles, I do have an itinerary because I did need one when I got the permit. They want to know approximate, where you're camping and things like that. So the itinerary is for 17 days. But wow. I love planning, but I also never expect things to go
right.
Exactly how you planned it, right?
Yeah.
So we are giving flexibility for up to 20 days, I think it is.
So okay. So this is interesting. I had no idea. I thought you had to like book campsites. So it offers that. I know, right?
We know nothing.
We know nothing.
Bryce and Dan were talking about how you have to do that a lot out there, I think.
Not here.
No, booking campsites.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's almost the norm.
But this is better. So you limit the amount of people at the trailhead, and then you give them the flexibility to get to whatever camp that they could potentially make it to. Then that's kind of like Isle Royale.
Yeah, but that's not the norm.
No.
So, when you get signed up for this, do you have to tell them like when you're going? Like, is your time already set?
You mean like the date I start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I think the dates they want to know are the date you start and when you are out. I think those are like the two most important ones.
What time of year?
Yeah, when are you going?
You doing this?
End of August, early September.
That's gotta be the perfect time to do it, right?
That's when everybody's doing these.
Oh yeah, I mean those were my perfect dates that I selected. So
okay, that's pretty. That's a bucket list backpacking trip right there.
You know, that's really smart of you too. I mean, 30 miles in the grand scheme of that whole trail is nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And so that was a really smart move, like booking that trailhead. Yeah.
And did oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say another interesting thing about it, because so I am going northbound, which means if you were to start from the normal lottery trailhead, you would be summiting Mount Whitney on day 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this, the way we are doing it, I think we are summiting Whitney on day 3, which doesn't sound like a big difference. However, we also it's going to be easier to summit from that side, and we will carry day packs and do an out and back.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I'm like kind of all for that.
Yeah.
Are you doing it with Carson?
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Is who's more into backpacking, you or him?
Definitely me.
That's awesome.
He's the climber.
Okay.
And when we met each other, he taught me how to climb. I taught him how to backpack. But we still, each have our favorite, and so it's always like, a tug of war. Okay, are we going on a climbing or backpacking trip?
So is poor Carson like, oh shit, I gotta do 20 days?
Are you gonna go on a climbing trip now?
Well, probably, but we did a lot of climbing last year. Also, this guy, so I actually had a really hard time dating people. I thought I was going to be single forever. I couldn't find anyone that could keep up with me. And then I met Carson, and this guy can run like circles around me. I was like, all right, that's the one.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, so he's good. I mean, I can take him on anything, and he's
that's
in great
awesome.
shape. So
did you meet? Yeah. Did you guys meet doing something outdoorsy? Tell me you did.
No, we met on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
but
cool,
it was
though.
because of outdoor photos and similar interests. So
I wanted to talk about climbing because I know by following you, that's a big thing you're into. That's
yes, a lot of it.
I've never done it.
Me neither. I imagine Utah is a good spot.
It is. It's a really great spot. We have I actually, right out the window that I'm looking at, I'm like right up against the mountains, and then we also have the desert. So almost year round there's climbing, which is, this is like the perfect spot for it.
So do you think you'll ever go to the world-class climbing destination of the Red River Gorge, Kentucky, which apparently everybody tells us?
Devin told us that was world-renowned, quote. And I go, why is it world-renowned?
I've heard that too. And I feel like we will probably make it out there at some point. But we also have so much that's so close as well. Yeah. So it's hard, but
you don't want to go to backwoods Kentucky? You don't want to go to the middle of nowhere Kentucky?
I don't know. It's not like top of the list.
No. And I didn't know that. We went there last year it's 3 hours from where we live. And I make a lot of jokes about the Midwest and Ohio, but Andy and I, we're city boys. We live in a big city. We're not close to we don't have mountains out our windows.
No.
We got Andy's neighbor right out there. But we went there for the first time, and I didn't realize it was such a climbing mecca, and it is. There's hipsters and van life people all over there.
Lots
of van life. And I thought it was cool. There were people that were backpacking and climbing, doing that intertwined. And I thought that would be, have you ever done something like that? I thought that'd be really cool.
Yes. Yeah, we have. It's tough because it's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is probably trad climbing, which means you're carrying, large pieces of metal basically that help keep you safe on the wall. So yeah, it's tough, but it's fun.
Yeah, Kevin and I are well aware of this.
So another thing, another thing I saw, this is on Instagram, you had these air mattress type things that looked like they suspended. Is that what I think it is?
It is what you think it is, yes.
We
have one set up right there.
Oh, wait, hold on. We could drop one F-bomb on the podcast.
Okay, hold on.
Fuck that. So, like, you're sleeping on the side of the cliff, right?
Yes. So I haven't done it yet. But we're thinking now that we have these, we will do it. No,
you're with me on that, right?
First time this year.
No, I mean, I've seen the cool ones where like you have like 4
you're
people
open.
in it.
Like you're like hooked into that thing though, right?
Oh yes, you are definitely hooked in. You can fall, but you won't fall. You won't fall very far. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done it yet, so I guess I can't say whether I'll like it or not.
Like, does it freak you out at all?
It doesn't. The only thing that freaks me out is the possibility of not getting good sleep because it's cold or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not too worried about anything else.
So it's very cool, honestly. So like you guys are suspended on some rock face, right? And like you have these like pads and they're suspended, and like you like just hang out and like cook and like just have the old camp life.
Yes, basically. I mean, it's it's your tent. I guess.
How are you boiling water on that thing?
Good question. So Carson actually, he did LCAP last year, and he had a different one. It was actual one of the ones you probably usually see that it looks like a tent hanging on the wall. But I mean, I think they just
suspend the stove.
But this thing is not a tent you're in. This is a match, like a
it's just like a cot.
This is like a Neo Air that's hanging off of a cliff.
So I think these do come with
like a cover.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that makes.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's
like,
fine.
Aren't you worried about like birds? like peregrine falcons coming and like.
What about like just random people like rappelling down next to you?
I mean, yeah, that is actually a concern.
Your badass factor is going up substantially by doing this. No, this is like, I always like, you watch like these climbing videos and you see people doing that and you're like, oh my God.
And then you just look at our videos, we're like, dip,
hang out camp.
Get a chair. Mountain house.
I bet though, I honestly bet that, once you get past the like, and it sounds like you're ready to go, but like waking up, like that's probably pretty cool. Like waking up and seeing around you and like, you gotta, I mean, it's terrifying to me. I can't, like, can you imagine our wives be like, hey, hun, hey.
I mean, no.
You're strapped in. It's all good.
Yeah, you're fine.
I mean, it's interesting because I talked to, a lot of the other guys that went on the Canyonlands trip, and they're like, wow, that's, it's scary and it's dangerous. And I mean, it really depends on what you're doing. You kind of, a part of it is like risk management. And so choosing what routes you're doing, and things like that. I mean, you kind of have some control over, like
I'm trying to imagine, like,
you have good gear,
like, can you imagine packing up camp while you're suspended on the side of a cliff?
No, I can't.
Like, that's what you do, right?
I have.
Yeah, but I mean, you're tied into something, so you're at an anchor and you're connected to it. So
Amy, we'll be waiting for you at the top.
We'll be up there with our. I'm gonna be like 30 feet away from the edge too.
Yeah. We won't even be close to the edge.
I have a severe fear of heights.
We'll have a whole spread of food and coffee waiting for you and Carson when you get up there.
Perfect.
No, honestly, it's very cool, and I saw you post that, and I was like, I hope that's not what I think it is.
Is there any other type of like outdoor recreating besides like backpacking and climbing that you're into?
Like fishing?
No, I don't really do any fishing.
You're in a good spot for fishing.
No, I'm learning how to ski kind of. I didn't get a ski pass this year because they're just insanely expensive. And we went to New Zealand instead. So I was like, okay, no ski pass. But skiing kind of scares me. I struggle. So, I mean, people think climbing is scary, but for me, skiing kind of terrifies me. So
skiing terrifies you, but spending a night suspended off of a cliff face, it's all good.
While you're tied in on the cliff.
You do live in a great spot for skiing. I've skied out there. Andy and I, and it's ironic because we live in Ohio, but we grew up as a very hardcore ski family. Like we went out to Colorado every year, Wyoming, Utah. We grew up like hard. And Andy and I were actually national ski patrollers for 10 years.
5.
Nice.
And we're like big into skiing. So skiing to us is like no big deal, but sleeping on a cliff face.
Well, I mean, I broke my leg. Our dad's torn his ACL.
Our sister just
and our sister
blew her
just
knee out.
tore her ACL skiing.
Literally
so
this weekend.
Nothing bad can happen, though.
I know. I think a lot of it is the feeling that I might lose control. The speed.
Yeah. Go fast.
It's what scares me. Yeah.
You got to master gravity.
How far do you live from ski resorts?
Oh, I mean, we live about 5 to 10 minutes from the mouth of Little and Big Cottonwood.
Oh, so you're in the Salt Lake area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. I knew you're in Utah. Okay. So you have like world-class skiing right at your doorstep. Oh, nice. Man.
Yeah. And I have a long way to go to learn. Cause I think the ultimate goal is to do backcountry skiing.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready for that. So I do need
You got a little bit to go. Just remember pizza and French fries. Okay.
Yes.
Pizza, French fries.
Working on
Pizza, French fries.
pizza, French fries. But I don't know how to stop without pizzaing.
That's fine.
You learn the hockey stop.
So then you go French fries this way.
Yeah, French fry that way. You'll learn a hockey stop. Yeah.
Don't worry.
So I'm working on that. That's where I am. I'm good on most blue runs.
Okay.
Unless there are moguls.
Yeah. Those will hurt.
A problem.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh well, then you do sideways French fries, and you can go through all the moguls. Just go down slowly.
Yeah. I mean, with the caliber of skiing you have out there, it won't take you very long to get apt at doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, could you backpack / ski?
Yeah.
But like stay out there?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
Can you do that?
I don't know if people do it very much here. We don't have. I mean, as far as I know, as someone who doesn't really ski, we don't have a lot of huts or anything, at least in the Wasatch Front. And then I think just because of avalanche conditions, it's, I mean, probably not the best area, but yeah, I don't know.
Do your parents just freak out about all these dangerous hobbies that you have?
Yes. When I moved away from home and went to Montana, it was like a really hard time. And I actually wanted to join the Peace Corps out of college.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And that did not happen. My parents were like, absolutely not. It was like this big thing. And then I got into backpacking and, they expressed all their concerns. And I think they're kind of just numb and used to it by now, where I'm like, I'm just going to go do my thing. And you don't have much of a say in it. I mean, they're still concerned. I usually have a spot device, and so that helps. I always let them know where I'm going and when I'm leaving and coming back. And I mean, they tell me, okay, don't die, but
yeah. That was when I went for my solo. That was like it wasn't my parents, it was my wife. It was like, you have to have a GPS thing on you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was the final straw that did that. But I like the Garmin InReach. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Same thing as a Spot, same difference.
Yeah.
So do you have any?
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Do you have any trips coming up between now and the JMT?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of things planned already, and then a lot of like want to do. So we will be. We'll be back in Moab again for like the third time in a month.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
I think like a week.
God.
But you live there.
And
so,
then,
why not?
I can't even imagine what that's like.
I know.
Yeah, the accent. I'm so spoiled with the accents.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We'll actually be back down there again towards the end of March because we'll be doing an 8-day climbing trip in Indian Creek.
Wow.
Which is world-class climbing. And then I'm planning on spending a lot of time in the high Uintas this year to, stay in shape and be ready for the JMT. I mean, usually I try to plan a Winds or Sawtooth trip every year, but I think, the Uintas are only an hour and a half drive away. So I don't really have an excuse to not be going there, and it's beautiful, and I haven't explored it all. So that'll be what this year's about. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, that's an aggressive outdoor recreating schedule.
Yeah, no, but if you think about it, it's like an hour and a half. You can be in the mountains on some sweet trails, nice weekend trips all the time. Like, why not?
That's awesome. Yeah. God.
Just every weekend, yeah.
I can't even imagine what that's like. I mean, honestly, we got the Hocking Hills an hour and a half away.
We got Zaleski an hour away, which I'm not complaining about, but it's not Utah.
It's interesting. Like, and when we have these big like Ohio YouTube meetups, and there are so many people that backpack and YouTube in Ohio, but the backpacking blows, and there's not that many Utah YouTubers.
Careful.
Yeah.
The backpacking is not great in Ohio.
Not great compared to other states, but
there's like two states that have worse backpacking than Ohio. Ohio's ranked 47 out of 50.
According to no, Oklahoma's 50.
No, there's it's Indiana and Oklahoma. I'm perfectly within my right to rag on Ohio backpacking. We make do with what we can, but it's interesting.
I mean, you're right though. There's a lot of Midwestern backpacking YouTubers out there. It
doesn't make any sense. It's because there's nothing else to do when you backpack. There's no like good sites or anything, so you just record video. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about this too. I find it really interesting.
It's like you got Devin. There's Firebox Grills out there. There's Wasatch Will. There's a couple of them, but it's not like Ohio.
No,
it's I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like it's just the backpacking's so good. It's like, why do I need to film that? I don't know. I don't know. There's so much to do.
Yeah, there's a
lot.
Are
you you said Moab? Are you into mountain biking at all?
No, I'm not. That kind of, if you think about what I said about skiing, that
yes, that applies.
Kind of a similar, control of speed. I mean, I would love to do, some easy, great scenery bike rides. So one of the things that I guess I can mention is I do have a little bit of like stress trauma with like speed and losing control because I grew up off-roading.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And which is kind of my intro to the outdoors. And I did get into a really bad accident when I was younger. And I get a lot of like, like when I went skiing, it was hard for me because that accident was, I think 13 years ago or something like that. And, it like goes through my mind all the time.
No.
Anything having to do with, speed and not having control, just like I struggle.
Is off-roading like cars? Like four-wheelers?
My accident was on a dirt bike. So I had a dirt bike, grew up also on like a quad. And then my family, we also have dune buggies. So that kind of thing.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So are there any other outdoor recreating hobbies you have? Sounds like you've got a bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Like, do you just ever go on like day hikes?
Yeah, I'm struggling to like even balance just between climbing and backpacking, hiking. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. But in the you're in the Salt Lake area, so you have to take advantage of it. You need to throw fly fishing into the mix.
I know. I hear it's amazing. And in the Uintas too, people talk about it all the time. I guess for me too, I'm like, okay, so it's more things to carry.
Yes, it is. It is for sure.
If you're used to carrying climbing gear.
Yeah, that's nothing. A little like 5-ounce rod. That's nothing. Then you can have some freshly cooked fish for dinner.
Yeah, that's fair. And I have gone fishing, and I do really enjoy like fresh trout. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's just another one of those things I'd have to add.
You got a lot of hobbies.
So you're doing the JMT this summer. So like, what's another bucket list hike for you? Are you like a through hiker eventually?
Great question.
Something like that.
That is a good question because it's like one of my most number one questions that I've been asked since I started backpacking is, are you into through hiking? And my answer has always been no. And then I was like, well, okay, the JMT, like that's short enough. And now I also want to do the Uinta Highline Trail, which is much shorter than the John Muir Trail, but it has its own challenges. So there is a long distance hike that goes from Utah and then it goes to Nevada. It goes like down around the Grand Canyon and back up.
What's it called?
The Hayduke.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I might be interested in section hiking that one. But we will see what the future holds and where I end up, I guess.
You're fitting the stereotypical profile of a potential van life.
Yeah, potential van life.
Climbing.
Well, it's funny you say that because that could be in the future.
Really? Oh, we opening that can of worms.
I love the van life.
Like, do you mean like could be like you're buying a van?
I mean, potentially.
Yeah.
So we bought a house last year.
Okay.
And
that's the opposite of buying a van.
Done. Yeah, but the idea could be to rent it out.
Income property. Nice.
Yeah, and then to go be hobos, basically.
So you're probably going to do that then?
That's pretty awesome.
Is that going to happen?
There's potential for that, but I mean,
Carson's on board?
Oh yeah. He's down to be a dirtbag. He's all for that. So
I respect the van life.
That's awesome.
Big time.
You can drive out to the Midwest and do Red River Gorge.
Yeah, we'll take you to Zaleski.
Yeah. Do you have you ever been out to the Ohio Midwest area?
So my first time ever was actually this last October. We drove to Champaign, Illinois, to go pick up a car.
I remember.
And so we drove through like Nebraska,
Nebraska's awful. Ohio's actually better than that area.
Is that 49 out of 50? Then Oklahoma's 50.
Oklahoma, Nebraska, in terms of, I mean, they're just flat prairie land.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen that. But
Illinois also blows.
Oh my God.
Champaign was a super cute town.
Yeah,
though. I mean,
it's a college town.
Fall.
Yeah.
The colors are great.
Yeah. Is that the furthest east you've been?
No. So I have been. So Carson lived in Boston for.
Oh, okay. Boston's
a while.
sweet. Boston's awesome.
Yeah. So I did visit there a couple times, and then we went up to New Hampshire a couple times.
Okay. Oh, you've done the East Coast stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have. Oh, and then we went to Miami for a wedding. We had a lot of weddings this last year, and so got to travel a lot for that. But yeah, so I mean, I've done a little bit, but not really any kind of outdoor recreation kind of things.
Right, just traveling.
Further east than Colorado, yeah.
Okay. Have you done any, what have you done? Have you done some backpacking in Colorado?
Yeah, so I actually lived in Aspen for one of my jobs.
Oh, that's incredible.
It sounds really nice. But I also
that's where we learned to ski.
I lived in like a really big house for the Forest Service and lived with, I don't know, 13 other people, one kitchen. So, I mean, but it was still Aspen, so it was fantastic.
That's a strict.
I spent some time, around there, and also traveled to like Rocky Mountain National Park a couple times, and there's actually a Routt National Forest in Colorado.
Oh. Named after you?
I mean, maybe.
So that's pretty sweet.
What? I want to talk about gear really quick. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Why did you go with a ULA pack?
We saw it.
Good question. So I was actually originally looking at Z packs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My old backpack that I've had, my very first piece of gear, 10-ish years or whatever, it's 4 pounds. And I wanted something lighter. And I'm like, okay, 10 years seems like it's appropriate amount of time to get something new, right?
For sure.
But when I was kind of looking up Z packs, somebody mentioned the ULA packs, and it kind of looking at the ULA packs versus, Hyperlight or Z packs, I felt a lot better about it because of the material.
Yeah.
And the padding as well, I guess. And so it is a little heavier, but I was willing to carry a little bit extra weight for durability and comfort. I mean, I've seen Dyneema just not really last in the southern Utah deserts.
Yeah.
So I want something that I can take on climbing trips, as well as backpacking trips, and something, I don't have to be worried about scrambling. I'm not nice to my gear either.
Yeah.
I mean, I throw my stuff down, and that's, I want to be able to do that and not worry about it and have it last another 10 years. So I've heard a lot of great things, and yeah.
Awesome. Nice. Did you just rip on Bryce for his Dyneema pack then when he was out there?
I know I didn't. I mean, I was kind of curious. I was still not sure what I wanted to do, and I was really curious about them. But after, I mean, I don't know if Bryce had any issues, but let's just say there were a couple like rips and things from rubbing on sandstone.
Did you make fun of him for his Dyneema tent in the windstorm and lots of sand in his tent?
I didn't make fun of him, but I did think it was pretty funny. I mean, the great thing is he was totally, he thought it was fun. He thought it was like, oh, this is kind of a, exciting moment. Kind of, I guess there's a lot of us that like type 2 kind of fun, where it's not necessarily pleasant, but it's also kind of funny to look back on and be I couldn't sleep because I had sand blowing in my tent all night, or I wasn't sure if it was going to stand up. So, it was pretty funny.
Well,
but
that's how I describe backpacking to people. So I always say, no, it's true though. Yeah. There are two types of things. There's two types of fun. There's stuff that's really fun when you're doing it, and then later, like a roller coaster. There's stuff
or like eating pizza.
Right. Pizza's always fun.
Until the next day.
But there's stuff that's not really fun when you're doing it, maybe, like camping in a sandstorm. But when you look back on it, it's like we tell people, I can say this now because this won't be out until next week or the week after, but we're meeting up with Dan Becker tomorrow, and we're going backpacking we're going back in Wisconsin in like deep winter. And I tell people I work with, they're doing that, and they're like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I know.
Wait, so how cold is it going to be?
Now, the lows are only going to be in like the low 20s, which for Wisconsin in February is like a godsend. I mean, it could be way worse. I mean, it's literally tonight. We got a warm front coming in. The low tonight where we're going is 1 degree. So there's a warm front coming through tomorrow. So like 20s is that's winter backpacking in Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad.
It's still not.
It's still like, do you ever do winter below freezing stuff backpacking wise?
I mean, I'm kind of new to it. When I did do the Tahoe Rim Trail, it got into single digits.
Oh, okay.
Then, I mean,
that counts.
This last trip in Canyonlands, it was in the 20s.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay. So that's winter backpacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess the thing too, that like to keep in mind is it is very dry here, and it was very dry in Tahoe.
Yeah.
And at least my experience is like usually dry weather doesn't feel as bad somehow.
Yeah. And at least in those areas, during the day, does it warm up to like a reasonable temperature because it's desert?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think on our third day out in Canyonlands, the high was supposed to be only in the 30s.
Oh, no, that's winter.
I mean, it can get up to high 50s, maybe low 60s if it's like an extra warm day.
Okay. That counts.
So never mind.
So you've done winter backpacking. Yeah. That definitely counts.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't have a lot of experience with snow, I guess.
Oh.
We don't really.
We don't really either.
Yeah.
A little bit, but no, there's a funny story. We got contacted by a snowshoe company last year. Like a legit snowshoe company, and they're like
expensive.
Like nice snowshoes, and they're like, "You guys want some snowshoes?" And we're like, "Dude, we got to be real with you. We don't have any snow here." Like, I'd love to snowshoe.
Yeah.
We don't have any snow. We don't go out in the snow. It's just we don't have any snow. And they're like, well, we'll send you some snowshoes anyway.
Okay.
And we're like, no, when we find a trip to get to that necessitates snowshoes, we'll get some. But
are you gonna show us snowshoes?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't expecting to be filming or to be doing this on my phone, and I'm at 6%.
No, you're good.
Okay.
We're also. I was going to tell you, we're approaching the hour, so we generally will wrap these up usually.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for talking to us. This
Amy,
was really fun.
Yeah, this was nice, Amy.
This was fun.
We've really gotten to know
definitely
you.
anxious. I didn't know if you were going to ask any hard questions,
No, it's funny when
what
we
was your childhood like?
when we when we do these, people ask us beforehand. A lot of people are like, well, like, what are we going to talk about? Do you have questions? I'm like, dude,
whatever.
we just go.
Yeah, but you guys just wing it.
We just wing it. Yeah,
this
flow
is not
conversation.
And
It's not scripted at all.
Full disclosure, we know other podcasters that will send the list of questions. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah Strainer sends the questions out in advance. We don't do that.
Fake.
No, we don't do that. So please, if you're listening to this, check out Amy's channel.
Yeah.
Check out her Instagram. We will put links down in the comments.
Yes, and I love the out west backpacking community.
It's great.
And all those trips.
We'll make it out there eventually.
Yes.
Amy, thanks so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, and we will see everybody on the next Backcountry BSing.
Yes.